What's up guys, my name is Kyle, this is my wife McKenna, and together we are the YouTube channel Got Love.
And today we're going to be making a video on how the heck did you and Kyle manage to keep the love while he was in Japan? Because if you guys don't know our story, we started with long distance and then we've dealt with distance many times in our relationship. And you should definitely check out our story. It's right there. It's kind of crazy.
I was in Japan for a year, she was in the United States, and we built our relationship off of that distance.
But Claudia Rios asked us that question in a recent P.O. Box video that we did. So we are here today to answer that question.
So we're not going to be telling you guys exactly how to make your own personal relationship work, but we are going to give you guys some of the tips and stuff that we use to help us stay together. Now, we've been married for over 3 years at this point.
Surprisingly.
And we started our relationship off of long distance. We were away from each other for a year and a half.
Yeah, I was in Ohio and he was in Japan. And we were literally on opposite time schedules.
So the most important thing in any relationship, whether that be long distance, whether that be you guys living in the same house together or the same city or the same state, it does not matter. But trust and communication are going to be the two most important things that you will ever need in a relationship. And we get a lot of people that message us about relationships, and we are very blunt and straightforward with people. We do not sugarcoat relationships because, for one, marriage is not easy. It is not easy at all. It is a lot of work. McKenna and I work on our marriage daily. We work together all the time. Sometimes we work against each other, and then we have to come back and work together. So marriage is a lot of work.
For sure.
So we do not sugarcoat it when people come to us for advice, and we tell people straight up. Now, trust and communication, two most important things. And if people come to us and in their story they tell us that they cannot trust each other, or they do not trust the other person, or the other person does not trust them, at least I do, I tell them right away, your relationship is screwed. It's over. Like, your relationship will not result in happiness 9 times out of 10. Not saying it can't, but it's a very high majority that if you cannot trust the person that you are with, or vice versa, the person can't trust you, or you don't trust each other, that relationship is destined to fail. And when you are apart from each other, that is when trust is the most important.
Seriously.
Some people can't even trust each other, and they've been living in the same city together.
And that's because they always have their eyes on them. It's like, well, I always know what they're doing, so it's not a problem. But then when they're apart from each other, then it's like, oh crap, I can't control them and watch their every move now. So
control is not a very good thing in a relationship or a marriage. Control is not good. And each person should be able to do what they want, and to an extent. I mean,
right.
You have to be trusting, so you have to be faithful, pretty much, but we don't have a trust issue, and we've never had one. We, literally from the very beginning, we knew we were only talking to each other, and when we started dating, we never had any thoughts of, I don't think we've ever had a single argument about someone of the opposite sex, not once. And we've been in a relationship for over 4 years. And we've never had one single argument about someone of the opposite sex talking to each other.
Even though this conversation that we're having right now is pretty much for any relationship, whether it be long distance or not, we are going to get into some of the long distance tips. But with trust, you have to have yourself
the core.
Respect for your significant other, knowing that you're not going to do something to hurt them.
And vice versa.
Exactly. So with control, we don't control each other saying you can only have guy friends, you cannot have female friends, and he doesn't do that to me either. I have guys that are male friends, and there's even times that I can go hang out with me and just a guy friend, and we don't have any issues because I know.
People have even made comments on our YouTube video saying I shouldn't let her hang out with guys alone without me. But I know the guys, and I trust the guys, and I trust her.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where I'm like, oh, something might happen if I'm with this guy, because first of all, I'm not gonna hang out alone with someone that I feel that would happen, and second of all, I'm smart enough not to do anything with anyone of the opposite sex because I don't have those urges, because I know I'm married. We both know that there are still attractive people all in the world. We will even go out to dinner sometimes, and
all the time
we'll have a female waitress, and he'll be like, oh, she was really cute, and I'm like, oh yeah. Or we'll be on a plane, and I'll be like, that guy that sat down is really cute, and he'll be like, oh, the one with the hat.
And I'll be like, yeah, I thought you would say that.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of pick up on what each other like, you know, like that's why you know what they like for food, you know what they like to drink, you know what colors, you know what your spouse likes or your significant other likes. So when it comes to people come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, but you can learn what their preference is.
Yeah.
So we even know, or like sometimes it'll be like, like you would be like, oh, you probably think she's attractive. I'm like, yeah, and he's like, I don't. Like, she won't think a girl's attractive, but she knows I will.
Yeah.
And it's just, you learn what each other likes, but that's okay. It's okay for people.
Yeah, it's like my favorite color is purple, but I'm allowed to like blue and white too.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. It goes the same way. Just because you're married or with someone doesn't mean all of a sudden everyone else is going to become unattractive to you. So you just have to have that mindset that, oh, this is life, but then you trust your significant other or you trust yourself. I mean, hopefully both, but that's what you really need to have a good relationship, is trust on both sides of that, because if you don't, like, it's literally gonna fall apart, especially when you have distance in between.
Now, the second thing is gonna be communication. Now, if you guys can't talk, this is where trust and communication are kind of hand in hand, because we have communicated enough to each other that we trust each other and we know that we're not going to cheat on each other, but we can both look at other people and admire the look of someone else. And so I can tell her when I think a girl is attractive, and she can tell me when a guy is attractive, and we communicate that back and forth. Hey, I think that girl's attractive, but I love you and I'm glad I get to go home with you. You know, it's like I see that person, but I care about you, and we've communicated that to each other enough that we don't have a worry. And communication is just, it's such a base of, if you don't know each other and haven't talked a lot and talked constantly, like, even though we've been married for 3 years, I still harp on communication daily. Like, we struggle always,
mostly on my side.
We need to talk more all the time. We need to understand each other as much as possible, because there's always going to be things in a relationship that are new, and a new situation comes up, and you're not always going to know how the other person is going to handle things, and that's where communicating back and forth helps the most. And so we try to talk as much as we can about things, especially when it comes to being upset. A lot of people don't communicate that. They'll either just start acting different, or they'll punish someone else for it, but the person doesn't even know what they did because they didn't communicate to them what was wrong. And so it goes both ways with everything. Is you need to communicate.
Yeah, you have to let them know.
If you're hurt with something or something bothers you, let them know. And they need to communicate back to you, as in, what do I need to do? And you need to have that conversation almost daily. There's stuff that always comes up, even today for us after 3 years, that it's like, hey, I don't like that you do that. And it's like, oh, like, sorry, I didn't know. And then we'll talk about it, and then we move on. And then if it comes up again, you let them know again. You don't just, well, I told you once, and now I'm going to start ignoring you every time you do it. That is the opposite of what you want to do in a relationship. You don't want to try, oh, the other person did something to make me mad, now let me make them mad. You can't fight fire with fire. You're going to burn your relationship down to the ground. Like, you literally have to fight fire with water. Like, you have to be nice to them and hope that if you are with a decent person, they will do the same for you. When you do something that bothers them, instead of them turning around and stabbing you in the back, they're going to sit there and talk to you about it and let you know, hey, let's work on this together. Exactly.
Quick example, we were with some people the other day, and I know I do this to him as well, but this day in particular, he was doing this to me. We were talking, and then I would start a story. He would interrupt me and tell the story, and like, I was getting aggravated. I didn't show it at the time, because there's a time and a place for everything. You don't need to have big fights in front of people, because that's just not where you should do things like that. So I was kind of getting aggravated, but I like kept it inside until we were alone by ourselves later, and I was like, hey. We
got in the car to go home.
And I was like, I just want to talk to you about something quick. Like, you were doing this and it was bothering me. And he's like, okay, like, I'm sorry about that. And
like, in the moment, I didn't notice it. Right. So if she would have brought it up and was aggravated, and then we would have been like, had an aggravated conversation in front of someone, then that just like makes it worse. So,
and I know I do that to him too. And like, even in videos, sometimes we'll like interrupt each other. But when you're with people, you know, just kind of keep things to yourself until you can like talk about it separately. But he understood. I was like, hey, you're doing this. He's like, okay, I won't do, like, I'll work on that.
He's like, yeah, I'll think about it next time.
He does the same thing to me. But another major important thing in any relationship and long distance is having respect and understanding for the situations that are going on. Now, this can apply to military relationships, which is the example I'm going to use, but also any long distance relationship. Example, your boyfriend goes to BMT. You're not gonna be able to talk to him for 2 months. So you can write him letters. So definitely do that. Write him as many letters as you can. But on the flip side, he may not be able to write to you all the time. So
he might write you 2 in those 2 months.
Do not be upset if you aren't getting letters as much as you're putting them out. Be there to be supportive and encouraging. Keep sending them, but then it's like you don't get one. Don't be upset. Just be like, okay, he didn't have time. I get that, but I'm still supporting him with my love and writing letters. Then he moves on to tech school, which is when we very first started talking. And tech school is a very busy time because they're out of BMT.
It's also a social time because you were at basic training for 2 months. You go to tech school. This is your first time to feel like you're a human again and hang out with people. So you just met a whole bunch of new people from all over. You're making all these new friendships that might carry on through your Air Force career. And you're going to be spending time with those people on the weekends and after class some days, but you're going to be at class for 40 to 50 hours a week. And then after that, you're going to want to hang out with people. You got to go get dinner. And being understanding of that is super important. Is you can't talk 24/7. When you are long distance, it doesn't matter if military or not, do not have that expectations that you need to talk 24/7 because you will burn out your relationship. Because on top of talking on the phone for 8 hours a day, you have other stuff to do with your day.
School.
Homework, whatever the person's doing, or a social life. If someone is working and then coming home and they're on the phone for 6 hours every day, then going to sleep, going to work again, being on the phone for 6 hours, you'll get so burnt out because you literally will feel like you're not getting a break. And so by not expecting 24-hour, 7 days a week communication. Now, communication is key, but not in this aspect of...
Not as in 24/7.
You guys have distance between you, but give yourself distance between doing your own thing.
Yeah.
So especially for military relationships, if your husband is deployed, do not sit at home and watch Netflix and eat pizza for 15 hours a day for 6 months.
Maybe a couple times, that's okay.
Like, don't just do that, and that's all, and then go like, I hate that my husband's gone, I don't do anything. It's like, that's your fault. If you don't do anything, nobody is holding you back or stopping you from doing whatever you want with your time. You could pick up a hobby and you start painting every single day and get amazing at painting in 6 months, every day for 8 hours. Like, occupy yourself. So just because you're away from people, our biggest advice is don't stop doing what makes you you. Just act like as if that person was still there. Or, I mean, if you hung out with them 24/7 and you never had a break, then when they go away, I mean, maybe replace them with something else. But don't like replace the relationship, just replace that time you used to spend with them doing something else.
So, still with being understanding and respectful, like they just got out of BMT, they're in tech school. Yes, they can't have their phone again, but yeah, not the 24/7 communication. But it's okay to update each other with what's going on. For example, if he's at tech school and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to the movies with some friends and then we're gonna go to dinner, I'll text you when I'm done. Not that...
And that's all we need is one text. Hey, I'm going to the movies and dinner. And then, cool, have fun.
You don't absolutely have to update them every single time you do something. Like, if you want to, then that's fine. But don't expect that they always have to do that. Like, sometimes I'll be like, hey, just got back home from being at dinner, if we can talk, that'd be awesome. And then he's like, I'm actually getting ready to go to the beach and dinner with some friends, maybe later. And then it's just like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I understand that I was busy and now he's busy, and that's okay. We still know what's going on, but he doesn't have to be like in the car, at dinner, at the beach, just got back in the car.
You every 2 seconds that he can talk.
But just giving like a general, hey, I'm gonna be busy this evening, I'm gonna be studying, and then we're gonna do dinner.
That kind of communication of always having to check in every 4 seconds, and anytime you can possibly be on the phone, being on the phone, it will burn you out so fast in long distance. And even sometimes when I went TDY to Alaska, we started talking a lot on the phone for like hours. And I got to a point where I was like, we can't keep talking this much, because I was trying to edit videos, I was trying to go out and hike, and I was getting burnt out just from talking to her all the time because I was in a new place And that might be the only time in our life that I am ever in Alaska. And we're sitting here and I'm spending every week, I'm spending 20, 30 hours on the phone with her when I'm like, that's 20, 30 hours that I could have been seeing something new.
He tries to blame it on me, but I blame it on him.
And it was kind of like a both thing. We both wanted to talk to each other.
But at the same time, you understand, like, I'm here, I need to do things, and that's fine.
We always try to stay busy in our own world. Like, when we're away from each other, stay busy, stay occupied. Because else if you just sit at home and go, oh, I miss them, of course it's going to suck. But if you're going out and making the most of it, that's when you can have some awesome experiences. Like, being in Alaska for me was incredible.
Yeah.
And I was without her, but I had so much fun. Like, I was with other guys. We would go out, it was like me and 3 other guys would go out hiking all the time. It's a lot different for me to go hiking with three other guys than it is with McKenna. McKenna's a little bit slower when she hikes than these guys. Like, we would go really fast. So like for me, like, I actually enjoyed that, being out with the bros, you know, going out and hitting up these mountains, because it was a totally different experience than if I was with her. Yes, I did miss her, and I do want to show her those mountains that we hiked. But it was cool experiencing it in a different way, because we would do it so fast, and it was like a workout instead of like, oh, we had to, like, you know, take our time, slow down. Like, it was more of an adventure, kind of, in a way, like in a different way. Like with McKenna, it still would have been an adventure, and we probably would have done different things while hiking up the mountain. But it just made for like a really cool experience, and I enjoyed that, like having a different experience.
So even though we're sitting here saying all this stuff like, hey, you have to be understanding, yes, you do, but you do need to make time to still talk to each other. So we're getting to that point, but you just both need to coordinate your schedules and being like, hey, when is a good time when we're both free for a couple of hours to jump on the phone, we can catch up about what was going on this week, and then we can do it over again.
Because sometimes not a whole lot happens in one day. Do you need to have a 2-hour conversation about what happened that day when literally it's like, hey, I just went to work? Cool, that's it? Yeah, I was literally just at work. Like, how do you turn that into a 2 or 3 hour conversation? And that's what can get burnt out really fast. So maybe talk every 3 days, every 5, every 7 days. And you can talk about everything that happened that week or that weekend. And it makes it so much easier because you just have a 2 or 3 hour conversation once a week. And then you kind of text here and there, or if you want to call real quick, hey, I love you, just want to say I love you, just want to hear your voice. All right, cool, but I'm busy, I'm out, like, I'll see you later, like, I'll call you this weekend, you know? Something like that, and it's, you still know you're there for each other, but you're not burning each other out on having to rely on being around your phone 24/7.
And then with me, when he's gone, I get to have my girl time with all of my girlfriends, which I can do that when we're together, but it's just a lot easier because when we're together, we like spending time together. So I don't always go have like girl time with all my girlfriends, but then when he's gone, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my time. Like, hey girls, let's go to the beach, because we were in Okinawa, Japan. So he's not one to just want to go and lay at the beach, but I love that. So I'm hit up some of my friends, I'm like, let's go to the beach, you know, like this is my time to be able to do that. Like, you have to keep enjoying yourself even when you're apart from each other. But another thing that's super important is, instead of focusing on the negative and whining like, man, we're not together, look forward to being able to see each other again, because that's really exciting. Whenever we were apart at the very beginning of a relationship, I started doing a countdown, and I even made a 10-day countdown video. It was kind of like a little silly thing that I did because I knew that he liked videos, because I found him from YouTube. And then I'm like, oh, I can like make some little videos. So, you know, I'm like 10 days till I get to see you, 9, and all the way down to 1 until—
You sounded so young in
I got
that
to see him.
too.
I know, I did. But look forward to the time that you get to see each other again. And during that time, think about, oh, what can I do to surprise him? Whether it be like starting to collect little things for when he gets back, to like have like a little gift basket. Or you could even take that time to send him a care package if he's deployed or if he's stationed somewhere.
Use the distance to have fun.
Yeah.
And be creative. Like, make the distance enjoyable. Because if you're always around each other, like, I know couples all the time, they get sick of each other. They literally be like, man, I cannot stand, like, just go away from me, don't talk to me. You know, like, couples are like that. We don't really have that problem because we, like, I feel like we spend enough time away from each other. And even during, like, I'll be working sometimes 60 hours a week, and then even that weekend, she will go out with her friends, and I will stay home and edit videos or do something, and she'll be out all day with her friends. But yet all week I was away from her. But we don't really have a problem where it's like anytime that we can spend together, we have to be together. anytime that we can spend together, we have to be together all the time. We don't really do that, so we don't get sick of each other, but that distance helps you miss each other. Like, some relationships, people forget what it's like to actually miss somebody and actually love somebody, because you don't realize how much you like love somebody until they're gone. And when they're not there with you every day, you're like, man, like, I really miss these little things. But instead of being sad about it, start being like, man, I'm so excited for when she gets home and this happens. Like, be happy for it, not, man, I'm so sad that he's not here to do this. Like, there's two ways to look at it. And we always look at like the exciting standpoints. Like, when she's away, I'm always like, things I can do to be a better husband, you know? It's like, because you're like, man, I'm excited for her to come back. Like, that's what you're looking forward to.
And of course, there's always little things you can do, like sending gifts and things like that. So I would send Kyle care packages when he was in Japan with some candy or some little like memorabilia or things of me that he could have while he was in Japan and I'm back in Ohio. And he would send me flowers, he would send me care packages and things for my birthday and for Valentine's Day.
I sent her like, when I was in Japan, I made a little box of like Japanese stuff, so I sent her like some Japanese yen, like coins that they have there. And then like chopsticks, some little shisho dogs. Like, sent her like just a little box of just Japanese stuff because she didn't know any of it. So it's like all this new stuff that she gets to see. And it's like, you don't have to do that every week or every month. But if you do it like every 4, 5, 6 months, I mean, it shows like over time, it shows that you care about each other.
One day I even did a quick little photo shoot. My mom took pictures of me. I had a shirt made that says my heart belongs to an airman. Then it said GOT on the back, US Air Force. And I had my mom take pictures of me in that shirt. Then I got the pictures printed and sent him a scrapbook of pictures of me in that shirt. And it's just like a cute little gift. So spend the time apart to be creative and think of ways to make each other happy.
All right, so I want to end this video on this note. A relationship is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Do not try to go so fast that you burn out right away. Try to think of things in the long term, of how are we going to preserve this long term? Because now I'm not saying you can't love each other and talk a lot and like all of that stuff a lot up front, but some people like go way too hard, and then when that starts to like dip off, some people can't handle that. And sometimes you just need it to be normal, like to have those ups and downs in a relationship. You can't just have it always be up here, because you forget how to appreciate things. So just make sure you take it slow. Don't be in a rush. Like, we talked for over a year without even meeting each other. We talked for 6 months when we started dating. We had never met each other at that point. We just talked only over the phone for 6 months. Text and over the phone, Snapchat, that's it. And we decided just over that, just off us communicating, that we wanted to be together. And then we dated for 6 months. Still didn't meet each other. And we weren't in a huge rush. Now, the military kind of rushed things, like with us getting married. But like at that point, we already knew that like that's what we wanted. And we had established that trust from such a long distance that we knew this was the best relationship we had been in, and we hadn't even met each other yet. And so based off of that, we knew that like this is the right thing. Like, we were meant to be together. Because other relationships, even in person, someone that I'd hung out with, like, we had trust issues. And like same with you, like that we've always had like issues here or there, and our relationship didn't have those issues, and we couldn't even see what the person was doing 24/7. And so that's what made it feel so right for us, is that we just knew that we could trust each other. And I mean, it's been over 3 years since we got married, so it's been 4 years since we started talking, 4.5 years since we started talking. And even when we got married, a lot of people on this YouTube channel used to comment and say that our marriage was gonna fail by 2016, 2017, they'll be divorced. Yeah, but like, we knew what we had.
Yeah.
We don't, and we don't have anything to prove.
Yeah, exactly.
In a relationship, you don't have anything to prove.
It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks, because you and your significant other know yourselves better than anyone else does. So you guys know if you can make it work or not. But the thing is you both have to be willing to make it work. It can't be one-sided, like you want to make it work and they don't, because if that's the case, it's not going to work. I'm going to tell you right now, that's just the way it is. So trust, communication, respect, appreciation, gifts, and being
don't
nice.
sprint. Don't sprint. Life is a marathon, marriage is a marathon, relationships are a marathon. It's all a marathon. There is no need to rush into something. We've seen so many relationships fail in the military because it is a normal thing. Relationships fail all the time. There are very corrupt relationships that are still together, and they just don't have that mutual respect, that communication. Those are the key things that they're missing. And if that is a piece of your relationship that's missing right now, then you want to focus on that and make sure that you can establish that communication and that trust. Because once you have that, everything else is doable. But getting communication and trust is by far the hardest thing in a relationship, period, long distance or not. So just make sure that you can establish that. And from there, you can work through anything because you can communicate when there's problems and you can fix stuff. And you can trust each other to want to fix things.
If you guys have any other questions or comments about long distance relationships, anything like that, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Comments really do help us. It shows YouTube that there's interaction on our channel.
Plus, we want to start making videos about this because we haven't really talked a whole lot about how to make long distance work. We feel since we've been married for over 3 years now, we did long distance for a year, that we're pretty good people to talk about that because we've made a long distance relationship work, but not only that, we got married after that and we've continued to make it work.
Exactly.
So we want to kind of share our knowledge. If you guys have certain questions pertaining or video ideas like top 5 tips, blah, blah, blah for long distance, let us know if you guys want us to make videos like that or what the topic should be.
And
so then we can give you our
saying
opinions.
that we are the complete experts on this. We're not saying you have to take our advice.
Our marriage is not perfect by any means.
For those that have been asking questions, this video are for those people, and if videos like this don't pertain to you, that is completely fine. But we are just sharing our knowledge, our experiences, what we feel is best, and if you want to take that advice, that's perfectly fine, and if you don't, that's perfectly fine. But also, give this video a thumbs up if you appreciate it. Again, leave comments, questions down below, and we will see you guys in another video. Peace out. Go Loco.
You looking like you on my type. Couple years later, probably looking like my wife. Groupies want the boy, but that's only for the night. But they all left, so I know that you right. Yeah, it's easy like 1, 2, 3. Like you drop it down low, man, you so low key. I'm the chosen one, baby, that ain't hard to see. Like Drake said, no, we can't do it for free. I'm out. Be my spotlight.